Hi everybody and welcome to Wednesday Night Live. Thank you so much for being patient with me last week while I had a week off and spent some quality time with my parents. If you've read the book, when we get to self-love, we talk about love languages, and one of my biggest love languages is quality time. So for me to spend time with the people that I love is really, really important to me. And I feel icky and heavy when I'm not doing that. So just in all terms of the things that we talk about in the change journey, if something doesn't feel right and it feels heavy and it feels lethargic and it feels like something that's a chore and something I have to do, then it's not really the thing that you want to do. And that's a bit how the Wednesday Night Live felt last Wednesday. So just showing that I walk my talk, and because it felt heavy, there was no point doing a Wednesday Night Live because I would have been quite resentful of it and wanting to spend time with my parents instead. So thank you for all being understanding, and your support in the comments of my post was amazing. So thank you. And I had a lovely time with my parents and we had a beautiful Easter all together. So it was lovely. So we are talking about responsible Rita tonight, and responsible Rita is all about being accountable for how you show up and the choices that you make in your life. And her flower is the hydrangea, and the hydrangea means transformation, which is really part of what responsible Rita is about. It's about really changing and being responsible for your actions and your thoughts and your choices. And she is the last character in the self-discovery section that we've been doing. So she's the fourth character in the self-discovery section. So what happens is, and I see this so often, is that people start to blame other people for their actions, really, and their thoughts and their choices that they make. So when things start going wrong, there are people that blame other people. Well, this happened because they did this, or this happened because they reacted. Like, I was just perfectly sitting there, and then this person reacted so badly and flipped the situation out, and now it's all gone to shit. And really what we want to do with responsible Rita is start to flip that equation over and say, well, what part of that equation, if that situation went to shit, am I responsible for? And that's a really massive part of your change journey, is bringing your self-awareness into what are you responsible for. So what we're talking about tonight is your actions, the choices you make, the behaviors you demonstrate, but also your feelings and your thoughts. So if you're having thoughts like, I'm fat, I look terrible in this, they're your responsibility. They're your responsibility, that if you don't like those thoughts, and if those thoughts aren't serving you and those thoughts aren't for your greater good, then it's your responsibility to change those. And only you can do that because they're inside of you. So it's about having this dedication and determination to become part of your change journey. And I can see a couple of people are on live, so thank you. Say Debbie's just said hi. Thanks for being here live. Glad we are all on the same time zone. And also Inika is watching, so that's very good. And Inika is actually my mum. So she's been spending the week here with us, and she's obviously got home fine and had a good flight, so that's good. So we're just talking about being responsible for your actions and your thoughts and your choices, because the other thing that we do is not only just blame people in situations, but we can blame our family, we can blame our upbringing. So a lot of people who've had trauma or something in the past, they can say, well, I'm allowed to act like this because of what happened to me in the past. Or maybe it's even genetic. So even if something within you, like something maybe to do with your health, you can say, well, there's nothing I can do about that because it's genetic and it's been brought down to me. If you do some research on Bruce Lipton, you'll find out that actually none of that is true. And you can change your mind to change your genetics, basically, which is an incredible field of study, and it's a whole different world of quantum physics, which is amazing and definitely worth looking into if that's something that you're into. But essentially, what Responsible Rita is about you changing the way that you perceive things and being responsible for that. Excuse me. So it's about deciding to change your story, not being the victim, and looking to the positives. So the best thing that you can do with Responsible Rita, and I'm really, really sorry, is to do a stock take of where you're at and look at your actions, your choices, your reactions to people, the feelings that you are having, and ask yourself, are these serving me? And if they're serving you, great. And if they're not, if they're hindering you, if they're becoming something that you think, this isn't what I love about myself, then they're the things that you want to change. So similarly, when we did a stock take at the beginning of the process about our lives, right now I'd like you to do a stock take around looking at the choices that you're making, the actions that you're having, the feelings and thoughts that you're having, and look at those of which you want to change. So when I did this, my issues were sarcasm. I have always been sarcastic. And then I started going into my spirituality world, and I realized that what I think and say is what I'm projecting out into the world and what's coming back to me. And what I realized was my sarcasm was what I was projecting out into the world. So when I would say things like, so one of the things that we would do all the time was we'd be having an amazing day, and we'd say, oh, we have the worst life. So it was sarcasm because we were having an amazing day, but I was speaking the words and thinking the thought, I have the worst life. And that was projecting to the universe that what I'm having at this great time at the moment, I'm labeling as the worst time. So I realized how bad sarcasm was for me, and I decided to stop it. And occasionally they'll come through, and I still do a little one every now and again because it's a bit of a habit. But I've really brought my awareness to it to decide to change that and not use sarcasm as much as what I did in the past. And one of the other things that I used to do all the time was judge people. So I would be walking down the street and I would see someone, and based on their appearance or what they were wearing, I would judge them. And I would think to myself, well, they fall into this category in my head. I don't know that person. I've never met them before. They're just walking down the street. They might have had a really bad day. Somebody in their life might have just died, and they've gone down the street just to get the basic necessities, and they've come out in a tracksuit. And I'm there judging them because they're in a tracksuit. And I realised the power in that was so detrimental and negative to how I was in my life that I decided to stop it. So these are two examples where I took responsibility for the things that I was thinking, the actions that I was showing to other people, but also to myself, and deciding to change it. So that's what Responsible Rita is for you, is going and doing a stock take of what are some of the actions that you do habitually, because we don't realise we do it. And that's the power of self-awareness. Is that if you can't step back and see what you're doing, or take an outsider's perspective of yourself, then that's where you're just going to continue doing the habit. So the whole power of the self-awareness is taking a step out and saying, actually, which of these actions don't I want to do anymore? Or which of these thoughts or which of these feelings don't I want to do anymore? And how can I change them to be more positive, to bring more positive into my life? So if you take my sarcasm and judgment, that's exactly what I did. I stepped outside and I went, hang on a minute. And for me, the judgment one was so ingrained that it took me ages to really step outside myself and have a look at that one. And when I saw it, I just went, oh, that is a massive awareness, and that is something I don't want to be, and I want to change that so fast. So that leaves me to the next part of Responsible Rita, where you change the word responsible around and you make it the ability to respond. So if your thoughts, actions, feelings are coming up from your subconscious, they're coming up from habit, these are things that would have come up from your past and been ingrained in you, the way you were brought up or the way people acted around you or whatever it is, then you have the ability to respond. So you can stop at that moment and say, hang on a minute, subconsciously I would have responded like this, but consciously I want to respond in this new way. And that is the power of responsibility and having the ability to respond. And that's exactly what I did with my judgment. So what happened is it didn't stop overnight, is that the thought would come up and I would say to myself, hang on a minute, that's not how I want to behave. That's not the thought I want to have. So let me flip that and let me just accept that person walking along the street for who they are, for whoever they might be and whatever circumstances they might be in. And I've actually just got the perfect example of that. I was on a plane once, flying to Queensland to see my parents. And I was in the middle seat and the lady on the window seat was in a really daggy old tracksuit. She looked terrible, to be honest with you. She looked like she just got out of bed. And she sat on the plane next to me. I think she even had Ugg boots on, and she just looked literally like she'd come out of bed. And then we got to the point on the flight where it was turn your mobile phones off and everything, and she kept her mobile phone on. And I thought, well, this is interesting. And so I judged her. I said, well, you are somebody who obviously has no respect for authority. You daggy, you're in your tracksuit, you're in your Ugg boots, you look like you just got out of bed and you're on a plane. And as we were taxiing down the runway, her phone rang and she answered it. And I listened to the conversation, of course, because I was sitting right next to her. And she said, I've just got on the plane now. Try and keep the patient as stable as you can, and I'll be there within an hour and a half. It's an hour and a half flight. And then I still have to get a taxi to the airport. Keep them in emergency, keep them as stable as you can, and I'll be there as soon as I can. This woman was a surgeon. So she might have been on holiday in Sydney. She might have been fast asleep. And she has got this emergency call, and she has to dash to Queensland to save a patient. And there am I judging her for sitting in a plane in a tracksuit and having her phone on. She needed to have her phone on. It was a life or death situation. And it was a massive wake-up call for me to think, how dare I judge people when I don't understand who they are or their lives or anything, and I'm just judging them on what they're wearing. So that is what Responsible Rita is. It's about taking responsibility for those thoughts and those actions. Sorry. And the other thing I want to say is, in life, we are waiting for somebody to save us. And that can be because life's hard and we're waiting for that miracle cure, the flick of the switch. It could be that we've been single and we're waiting for the miracle man to come along. It could be that we're running a business and we're waiting for that miracle formula to drop in out of the sky so we suddenly earn $1,000 million a year. It could be that we're waiting to win the lottery and win millions of dollars. All these scenarios, you're handing over your power in your life, waiting for something or someone to come and save you. No one's coming to save you. Yes, there are miracles out there, but the faster and sooner you can understand that no one is coming to save you, that it's time for you to save yourself, the better off you're going to be. And that's what Responsible Rita is all about, is you taking responsibility for saving yourself. If you're in a life that you're not happy with, if there are areas in your life that you want to change, that you think I can do better in, that I can be happier in, then it is up to you to save yourself and bring in all your changes that we're going to talk about in the change journey that we've already talked about to change your own life. Because that's the empowering part of it. Because it's you doing something for you and not waiting for somebody to come and save you. Because trust me, nobody's coming to save you. And even if you think that somebody has saved you, it takes the empowerment away from you and it doesn't feel as good. And that does not mean that you can't ask for support, and that does not mean that you can't ask for help. But what it means is, at the end of the day, you're responsible for you and who you are and the thoughts that you're having and the actions that you're taking. So Responsible Rita is quite intense and serious. And that's why she's part of the self-discovery phase, because if you don't get this straight up, the rest of your journey is pointless. So it's really important that you can get this right at the beginning, that you're responsible for your changes and that you take that responsibility and not wait for somebody to save you. So I said at the beginning, Responsible Rita is the last of our self-discovery group. So what we did at the beginning is we did a stock take and we talked about what we love and what we don't love of our lives and what we want to change. And the power of that stock take is immense, even just knowing what the great things are of your life and having gratitude to them. Then we did Inspired Isabel, and she was all about our goals and our big dreams and, the sky's the limit. What do we want to do and how great is it going to be? And then we talked about Dedicated Debbie, about really staying on track and getting towards those goals. And then we brought in Focused Fran to do the steps to head towards those goals. And then Responsible Rita just covers off the whole package beautifully by just saying, actually, at the end of the day, it's your journey. You have to be responsible for it. And it's a bit like if you decide that it's not for you, then that's totally fine. That's your responsibility. That's your choice. If you say it's not the right time for me right now, maybe in 5 years' time it is. And I think I said that at the beginning of the book, that this book is something that you will pick up from time to time and go, now's the time that I want to work on this area. It's not something that you're going to work through consistently and change overnight. My change journey's been going for 15 years and it's still going. So there are always things that we're changing. So being responsible for that is a major part of it, and really just understanding what it is you want. So I hope that helps. If there's any questions, please type them in. Next week, we're going to go into the self-confidence section of the book, and we're going to start with Brave Bridget. And hopefully I'll have a voice and not be choking. Last week I had a runny nose and now I'm coughing, so you can just know that this is live and raw and in all its beauty, and that's life. The other thing I want to do before I go is I said right at the beginning when I got my cards that I was going to give a free pack away to somebody who commented or had a question, and we didn't have many people turn up live that day. And so I've just waited a few weeks to see what happens, and what I want to do today is announce the winner of the free cards. And that winner's Debbie Walker. She's on live tonight. Debbie, you are the epitome of a change journey person. You are taking responsibility for your actions. You have the examples that you've given. You've actually shared some examples that I can share on a live. And you have watched everything and commented on everything, and I really, really appreciate that, and I really appreciate your support. So in thank you for all that you've done, I would like to gift you your set of cards, and I will put them in the mail to you. And I really hope that you enjoy them. On Sunday nights, I'm doing a draw for people as well. So if you want to find out what your cards are for the next week, I'm doing a card draw. So you just need to be on the Facebook group on a Sunday, not the group, on the Facebook page on a Sunday. And sometime in the morning I reveal the 1, 2, 3 cards, and then you just pick a number, and then at the end of the day I let you know what that card is for your week. So if you're struggling and you're really wanting to know who and which of the characters can support you for that week, then please jump in to the Facebook page on a Sunday and vote for who you want. So thank you for being live. Sorry for the coughing, but that's what you get. And Debbie, you're very welcome. I will send them in the mail to you, and I hope you love them. I'm sure you will. They're really, really lovely, and I love using them, and they're really great. So thank you. And thank you for everybody being live, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.